2020年斯诺克世锦赛首轮，0名后小将颜丙涛对阵斯莱塞。在第一阶段颜丙涛的发挥意外出色，以7比1悬殊比分领先。在第二阶段的第一局，再次打出一局梦幻般的比赛。让我们再来看一下。颜丙涛率先开杆，其实给对手落了远台底袋的机会，但是有意思的一幕出现了。斯莱塞在尝试击球的过程中，球杆不小心碰着了母球，被裁判吹了犯规。
And fouled before he'd even taken a shot. 7-1 down, he had what's fair to say would be a nightmare opening session. Touching the ball as he's addressed it, and it's allowed Yan Bing.
反而让颜丙涛将红球收入了底袋，成功的上手。
And a nice long red to settle him in. They had to pull this match off a frame early yesterday because it was taking such a long time. Yan had 1 century in the session yesterday. 119 for 4-0. Just a single frame for Yan. Yep. And as if
5.
His mood could not have got any worse, it has now. Still in the chair. And Joe Perry alongside me. World-class snooker player, major ranking event winner.
6.
That was just about the worst possible thing that could have happened to Elliot Slesser at the start of this session after a really difficult day here yesterday.
Yeah, you can't really prepare for something like that, can you? He plays hours and hours every day, probably does that once or twice a year. Elliot, I doubt, has got aspirations of still winning this match, but he'll be looking
13.
to firstly make the scoreline respectable and just show everyone out there what a great player he is. You don't get to the Crucible without being a great player, and Elliot had a tough day
14.
yesterday. Never really got into the match, couldn't get going. And we've all been there. The Crucible is one of the toughest places in the world when it's not going your way.
And it wasn't exactly a vintage
19.
session from the seeded player Yan Bing Chow. But with Elliot struggling to get into the match, he took his chances, the 20-year-old.
20.
Best breaks 66, 86. When he lost that decided to.
这时候颜丙涛在单杆拿下24分后，母球较为不佳，选择了防守。
Got a huge amount of potential, hasn't he, Bing Chow?
He certainly has, in his very young career up to now, already achieved many things that some players never achieve in their career. Still trying to work him out as a player, to be honest. His record is outstanding for his age. But still none too sure what his strengths and weaknesses are. He just seems to have a very, very good all-round game. Pretty solid in all departments. You wouldn't say he was a great scorer.
The impression I get, Joe, looking at the statistics for Yan Bing Chow, he's a quick learner. Welsh Open, he loses to Sean Murphy 6-5, and then he beats him probably about a month later in the semis of the Players' Championship 6-1. So he's able to, by that statistic.
两人经过一番博弈后，斯莱塞的这杆防守走位严重失误，将红球直接打到了左侧底袋的洞口。
He's a 3-time ranking finalist, and won the Riga Masters way back last July at the start of this season, which sounds bizarre as we're now into August the following year.
这下对于状态正好的颜丙涛来说，就如同脱缰的野马，开启了疯狂的进攻。
Definitely not the start Elliot was looking for. Obviously, touched the cue ball on the address, very first visit to the table, and then was very unlucky there. Looked like he played a great safety shot. Cue ball just crept past the yellow. Left Jan a very easy starter. You just really would like to see Elliot do himself some justice in this match. See him get his arm going, make a few breaks, enjoy it out there. He'd have been really looking forward to this occasion. Would have been a dream of his when he started out playing the game. It's turning into a bit of a nightmare.
$15. $16.
Success on the long pots. It was a real shame yesterday from the perspective of the Gateshead player. I think you hit the nail on the head, Joe. The idea for these debutantes is to, at the very least, do themselves justice, and that's why he was so angry with his performance yesterday. I was talking to him in the green room as he was just taking a little break and watching a little bit of the Jack Lazowski-Anthony McGill match, and he made an interesting point. I'd be delighted to get your views on this. He said that he's one of those slightly lower ranked players who actually thrives on a big crowd, which might explain why he's beaten Ronnie O'Sullivan twice, and he finds it hard to get up for matches where there are few or no spectators, and he was just absolutely devastated when he realised there'd be nobody here.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at Elliot saying that. He is a
39.
Although he's very early in his career, he's still a little way down the rankings, but he does strike you as a big game player, big occasion player. Seems to thrive on the prospect of beating big names and achieving big things. So yeah, it is a shame. Can't be helped, obviously. It's the same for everyone, but you do feel it's the debutants this year that are going to miss out more than anyone else. But in saying that, he knew before he started out yesterday the situation, and he should have been ready mentally to get himself prepared for an empty crucible. At the end of the day, it's the World Championship. Biggest match of his life so far. He should have been up for it no matter what.
46.
His fiancée Stephanie was looking forward to coming here to watch, but she, along with everybody else, at home in front of the TV.
$47.
So we're only about, what, 3.5 days into this year's championship, and there does seem to be a pattern emerging that, although we've been talking about Elliot struggling without a big crowd, a lot of these players have thrived in an environment where they have felt less pressure. None more so than the 5-time world champion Ronnie O'Sullivan. John Higgins, Joe, said before this championship there could be an unprecedented number of century breaks, and I think he could be right. They are free-flowing out there, most of these guys,
60.
and the standard's been superb.
Yeah, you wouldn't be surprised if they got close to the record this year. It would be some effort. Number of centuries seems to be going up year on year. But I think the lack of crowd will make a difference to a lot of players, and probably the ones you least expect. You'd expect someone like Ronnie O'Sullivan to absolutely love the buzz of the crowd, but he said after his big win today, he actually preferred it out there. Yan Bingtao going along nicely here. He can't worry about what his opponent's doing, just needs to get on with his job.
66.
Nice clean start for him. Made a nice break. Just cruising along. It's a lovely feeling when you're out in the crucible, getting nothing back from your opponent. You're getting all the table time.
就这样，颜丙涛2次上手单杆打出了67分，以91比0再下一局，大比分8比1领先。虽然比赛的末段斯莱塞连追5局，颜丙涛最终还是以10比7拿下，职业生涯首次晋级世锦赛第2轮。
Well, it wasn't to be essentially.